in you and pledge our support to you as you strive to continue the excellence that is this university's destiny. I now present to you students, faculty, trustees, and friends, the 17th President of Buena Vista University, Dr. Frederick V. Moore.
Mr. Chairman, students, faculty, staff, my colleagues on the cabinet, alumni, trustees, distinguished guests, partners, and friends, thank you for the warm words that have been spoken today. And I can assure you that after our first Iowa winter, Susan and I are interested in finding warmth any way we can. What a remarkable celebration of what makes this university so very special. In that spirit, please join me in expressing our collective appreciation to all those whose tireless efforts have made these festivities such a roaring success. It is indeed fitting that this morning we dedicated the new Information Technology Center and recognized the leadership displayed by the H.W. Siebens Foundation in making this dazzling new facility a reality. Dr. Harold Walter and Mrs. Estelle Siebens, the foundation that bears his name, and the Siebens family have, through their investment, as well as the powerful challenge they issued to others, literally transformed this university. They have touched countless men and women who have and will matriculate at Buena Vista for generations to come. We are indeed profoundly grateful to them. Susan, Allison, Stephen, and I are pleased that several members of our family could join us today. My sister Bunny Peterson and her husband Larry, Susan's mother, Margaretta Mulholland, her brothers, Chris, Ron, and Carl, Ron's wife, Judy, and Susan's aunt, Catherine Taylor, are all seated in the first two rows. We are glad you're here. As I look into your faces, I am reminded of what makes Buena Vista University so incredible. Its people. In that vein, ponder a seeming paradox with me for a moment. There is at least one characteristic that all of us share, and yet that same attribute also makes us unique. It is our association with this phenomenal institution of higher learning. And we share that association not only with one another, it also links us with those who have gone before during these past 105 years. Many of their names are spread across the pages of Professor Bill Cumberland's splendid centennial history of Buena Vista College. We have simultaneously touched and been touched by the university in many different ways. The commonality and distinctiveness of our personal histories are both essential elements of the marvelous venture we know as Buena Vista. The chronicle of this university is, in one sense, the sum total of our individual stories and yet much more. For it is when we labor together in community that this institution synergistically soars to new levels of distinction. Today marks the dawn of a new era. Together, We are about to write the next chapter in the account of Buena Vista University. Our noble work will be important, and we should be concerned about the future. As Charles Franklin Kettering once said, we will have to spend the rest of our lives there. We also come here today to honor the people and events that shape our present and will guide us in the years to come. The founders, led by our board chair's great-grandfather, E.E. Mack, displayed unrivaled vision and courage in 1891 when they embarked upon the journey that brought us here today. The words of our first president, Loyal Hayes, were prophetic when he said on the occasion of the groundbreaking for Old Main, and I quote, "We are now to break this soil and plant here the seeds of a college which under God's care and our toil may bring a harvest that the ages shall gather and garner." When we speak of toil against great odds, no one exemplifies that attribute better than Henry Olson, our 13th and longest-serving president. Among his many achievements, President Olson led Buena Vista to our first North Central Association accreditation. He also balanced the budget in the middle of the Great Depression. That is a mind-boggling feat. The tenure of our 15th president, the Reverend Dr. Wendell Halverson, was a period characterized by rapid expansion of our campus. This chapel, Ballou Library, Loggy Center, the Siebens Field House, and the Estelle Siebens Science Center were all built on his watch. Wendell, thank you for your contributions to Buena Vista University, and we are so pleased that you're here. And last, but certainly not least, our 16th president, Dr. Keith Briscoe, and his wife, Dr. Carmen Briscoe. Keith and Carmen, your stunning accomplishments are all around us. I will name just a few. Your role in the historical friendship that developed between the university and Dr. Siebens, the building of the Harold Walter Siebens School of Business, Siebens Forum, 3 new residence halls, including Briscoe Honor Hall, as well as your partnership together in designing all these facilities. An endowment that grew by a factor of 100 times to $60 million, record enrollment, a branch campus program that stretches across Iowa, Carmen's ability to make everyone around her feel special, and the tradition you established of taking a team approach to this position. We all thank you for the simply marvelous things you have done for Buena Vista University. The leadership and sacrifice of the people I have mentioned, plus innumerable others, have made Buena Vista University strong. Our principal strength lies in our people. We have enormously capable faculty who are fiercely dedicated to academic rigor and teaching excellence. They strike a wonderful balance between continuity and the willingness to challenge the status quo. Our staff takes as much pride in their work as any group of people I have ever known. We are blessed with a cabinet of remarkable talent. I might also add that the endowment now stands at $70 million. With this strength, of course, comes a corresponding danger, the risk of complacency. This is particularly true in the era during which we are living. These are not friendly times for small private colleges and universities such as Buena Vista. Facing turbulent times, one might argue that simply maintaining our strength would be a reasonable objective. And to this we say, no thank you. We are not interested in being second, period. Our students are best served by Buena Vista University's trademark, bold, innovative, decisive initiatives that set the standard for others to emulate. In short, our aim is to build on our strengths and take this institution to the next level. The centerpiece of this effort will be a focused strategy for our future, a blueprint for scaling new pinnacles of excellence. It is this vital area to which we now turn our attention. Last fall, we began crafting a strategy for Buena Vista University's future. We involved every constituency in the process: Storm Lake and center students, full-time and adjunct faculty, staff, alumni, and trustees. Together, we have developed an exciting, concise, comprehensive strategy that will guide us into the next century. We are already hard at work implementing it using cross-functional teams of students, faculty, and staff. The heart of our strategy is our strategic intent, a daring vision about which I will speak more shortly. Today, we articulate the strategy publicly for the first time. Let us begin with the sum and substance of why we are here, our students. All of our programs must reflect student-centeredness as their core value and be regularly assessed for quality and effectiveness. Being student-centered means that we act in our students' interests and not our own. It means that we insist on the highest standards of excellence in the classroom. And it means that students work harder than they have ever worked in their lives. Why? Because obtaining an education, notice I did not say a degree, is an important enterprise. In like manner, we must offer a rigorous, personalized educational experience through superlative teaching and advising. The personalized nature of the experience is our niche. Small classes, a low student-faculty ratio, the chance to form meaningful relationships with faculty outside the classroom, and faculty who are instrumental in helping students to gain valuable internships and other career opportunities. The New Ventures Strategy Implementation Team is currently working on articulating a goal for the size of the Storm Lake undergraduate program, and that is an important matter for us. One thing upon which all of us agree is that we will not suggest a size that would compromise the highly personalized, value-added Buena Vista education that serves our students so well. Being student-centered also means that our systems and programs are user-friendly. From career services to student activities, from the Center for Academic Excellence to residence hall programming, from the business office to the registrar's office, all of us must relentlessly strive to render high-quality service to our students. Student persistence or retention is one among many ways in which we may judge whether our programs and services are student-centered. I regret to say that much of the national debate about retention totally misses the boat. On far too many campuses, the rationale for a retention program is financial. At bottom, retention is not a monetary matter. If students leave, it is usually because they have not fundamentally engaged with the academic and co-curricular life of the campus. This disengagement may manifest itself in poor grades, or it may surface out of an unmet need to have friends who are highly motivated in their academic pursuits. I suggest that we look at persistence in a new way, as a symptom of disengagement. Our strategy calls for a focused retention agenda that maximizes the chance for persistence. The linchpin of this initiative must be identifying and remedying the root causes of disengagement. We must also assess our programs for quality and effectiveness, not because the accreditation bodies ask us to, but because we ask families to make one of the most significant investments of their lives when a student enrolls at Buena Vista. And we ask the taxpayers to invest with us. Why? Because there's a compelling national interest in educating our people. These investments demand that we subject ourselves to close scrutiny. Now, if we are to be student-centered, we must invest in our people by implementing a comprehensive and effective human resources effort. It will feature reward systems that advance our strategic interests, as well as faculty and staff development opportunities that facilitate professional growth. We need to delegate decision-making and accountability. Industry has long since recognized that empowerment is the key to success. We need to follow suit. Serving our students well will also require us to nurture a strong sense of community between and among students, faculty, and staff. Community does not mean the absence of dissent or a lack of conflict. It does not mean that we should refrain from vigorously challenging each other's ideas. Community does mean that we recognize that we share a virtuous endeavor, the pursuit of truth. It requires us to treat one another with respect and dignity. It mandates that we communicate effectively with one another, that we share important information and ideas. Community is also enriched to the extent that it includes persons of differing backgrounds. Helping students to gain an appreciation for those who hail from different cultures is absolutely elemental to an education. Not only is it the moral thing to do, it also makes good economic sense. One need only consider the increasingly diverse workplace to see the truth of that argument. And our campus life is immeasurably enriched by our African American, Hispanic, and international students. Diversity is an area in which we, as a community of scholars, must lead. Let me be candid. We all know that tensions between persons of different cultures are running high in America. Unfortunately, we have seen that phenomenon even played out on this campus, and we cannot allow that to stand. When it comes to race, gender, national origin, and personal practices, intolerance has no place here or anywhere else. We have a responsibility to help each other gain a better understanding of our differences. To the extent we respect those differences and treat one another with dignity, we're all stronger. Honoring our fellow human beings is a value those of us in the Judeo-Christian tradition share with the world's other great religions. Indeed, our heritage as a church-related institution compels us to work for justice for all of God's people. This heritage also mandates that we offer students enhanced opportunities for spiritual reflection in the context of a diverse and ecumenical student body. In short, we must strengthen our religious life program. In like manner, we must reinvigorate our relationship with the Presbyterian Church USA. It must be based on faith and the calling that we share, fostering a values-centered society in a rapidly changing world. This rapidly changing world into which our students will graduate is increasingly being shaped by technology. Nearly every aspect of our lives is touched by our transition into a knowledge-based economy. Computing power is doubling every 18 months. As the futurist John Nesbitt says, if we had similar improvement in automobiles, today a luxury car would cost $2, travel at the speed of sound, and go 600 miles on a thimble of gas. This revolution requires us to provide the latest technology for our students so that they graduate ready to compete in an information-driven society. Technology is also radically changing the very way we deliver higher education. No longer is scholastic dialogue restricted to the time that students and faculty spend in the classroom or even in the faculty member's office after class. Our faculty and students now continue these discussions in cyberspace at all hours of the day. In many cases, those conversations include students who are at other institutions, in other states, and in other nations. Instead of physically going to the library to do reserve readings, many of our students now access those materials via the Information Technology Center right from their residence hall room. Overhead transparencies, remember those? They're rapidly being replaced by student presentations that include photographs, video, sound, graphics, and text. We must continue to innovate in this vital area. Technology and the rise of the global economy are making our world smaller. Every single one of us, no matter what walk of professional life, is a competitor in the new and expanded arena. And the players are new. China, for example, now boasts the globe's third largest economy, an economy that is growing 5 times faster than ours. Regrettably, the United States has a history of being insular, a mistake that cost us dearly time and time again. Some examples illustrate this point. When General Motors tried to market the Nova in Latin America, they neglected to consider that the name Nova meant won't go in Spanish. Pepsi was embarrassed to learn that come alive with Pepsi meant Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the grave in Taiwan. Now, in the interest of avoiding these kinds of gaffes and worse, our curriculum must reflect an increasingly international emphasis. We must also expand our opportunities for foreign travel and study. Our students must graduate ready to be citizens of the world. Furthermore, our academic program must effectively blend our most popular majors, the pre-professional programs, with our foundation in the liberal arts. I cannot overstate the importance of this matter. I can't. Irrespective of major, students with a solid liberal arts background simultaneously enrich themselves intrinsically and extrinsically. Can you imagine what the world would be like without music, poetry, drama, literature, philosophy, religion, history, and art? All the material wealth in the universe could not prevent us from being impoverished. Even if these disciplines did not enhance students' marketability, exposure to them would be an essential element of a Buena Vista education. But the truth is that these areas of study also make students very marketable. When we ask employers what attributes they value most in a college graduate, they all say virtually the same thing, whether it's in North Carolina or Iowa. Graduates need to be able to write cogently, read critically, solve problems, perform quantitative analysis, speak persuasively, listen eloquently, work in teams, appreciate diversity, and have a broad perspective, as well as a sense of personal ethics. Our pre-professional programs can certainly help students develop those attributes. The traditional liberal arts disciplines, however, are particularly well suited for this important enterprise. Now, why do employers value those characteristics? They know that the typical college graduate is going to change jobs 8 times, change careers 3 times, and work in jobs that don't exist today. They also know that accumulated knowledge is doubling every 7 years. In short, they know that graduation day does not mark the end of an education. It is merely the beginning of lifelong learning. and they know that the attributes of writing and reading and all the rest enable people to learn forever. If we needed any evidence about the growing importance of lifelong learning, pick up a copy of a book called The Monster Under the Bed by Stan Davis and Jim Botkin, two former Harvard faculty members. They present startling statistics on the resources American business is investing in employee education. Listen carefully. In 1992, if we only considered the new people receiving training and education in the corporate sector, just 1 year, total contact time with instructors grew by 126 million hours in that year alone. It would take 13 new universities the size of Harvard to handle that increased demand for 1 year. Employee education is growing 10,000 times faster than academia. Now, what is it that these employees are studying? Well, some of it is task-oriented, but increasingly, those classes deal with morality and ethics, philosophy, communication, psychology. We operate at the intersection of the liberal arts and the pre-professional programs. We should celebrate the orientation of those pre-professional offerings. Consistent with that thesis, we must integrate theory with practice. Such an approach enables students to do well, a laudable goal. It also enables them to do good works in the world because of their bias toward action. It can be the basis for serving society admirably. Furthermore, our academic programs must reflect an increasingly interdisciplinary focus. Recently, I attended a conference on strategy staged by the Conference Board, which is an organization that serves American business. I had lunch with a number of CEOs, and they did not know that I am an educator. They were lamenting what they perceived to be the greatest flaw in higher education, the disciplinary bias. In their organizations, problems do not come neatly categorized in discipline-bound compartments. No more can we assume that students acquire the skill of thinking across disciplines simply by exposing them to different subject matter. We have to be intentional about inculcating that perspective. No discussion of our academic program would be complete without an emphasis on our branch campuses, the centers. We have 1,400 students enrolled in locations that stretch across Iowa, where we offer location-bound students access to quality-driven degree completion programs. We do that in partnership with our friends in the community college sector, many of whom are here today. This leading-edge program is very important in the life of this university. Many of the students work full-time, and they balance careers, children, aging parents, and their studies. The centers are a major focus of the strategy. We will celebrate them, and we will strengthen the linkages between these vital outreach programs and the Storm Lake campus. Our distance learning classrooms in the new Information Technology Center will be invaluable in this effort. We will invest in the centers to enhance our reputation for quality and to stay ahead of the market in new delivery systems. Our co-curricular and student services programs are an integral part of a Buena Vista education. In the case of performance groups like today, athletics, student organizations, life in the residence halls, or in other settings, young men and young women often learn lessons that are as valuable, if not more valuable, than the learning that takes place in the classroom. The driving force for all these programs must be a student development emphasis, firmly grounded in the published literature and complementary of the academic program. One of the things that attracted me to Buena Vista was our spirit of innovation. we think outside the box, and we're constantly looking for new ventures. We will continue to make that a hallmark of this university and even accelerate the pace. While maintaining our base in Iowa, we will penetrate new markets, both foreign and domestic. We will initiate new programs and delivery systems if, 1, they're consistent with our strategic intent, 2, we're sure that we can produce a high-quality program, and 3, the programs can be economically self-sustaining within a reasonable period of time. In order to accomplish all this and more, we must continue to modernize our physical plant and equipment. We must also manage our resources prudently and continue to pursue an aggressive investment policy. However, not all of our needs can be funded from the operating budget or even through successful stewardship of our investments. Thus, we must raise significant monies from those who have an affinity for the work we do. Although it is a daunting challenge, we must think, let me suggest to you, long-term, of tripling this university's endowment. Attracting new trustees willing and able to share their time, talent, and treasure with BV will be a key to this effort. So will plan giving and increased contributions from the alumni. This innovative agenda will require a lot of hard and yet immensely rewarding work. Its individual parts do not fully reflect the measure of the journey upon which we are about to embark. To capture this dimension, we turn to the heart of our strategy, the New American College. The New American College is a fresh idea, first coined in 1994 by the late Dr. Ernest Boyer, perhaps the world's foremost authority on education. Jerry Berberet, the late Frank Wong, Thomas Longan, John Bennett, and Kathy Broker have also done extensive work on this exciting new construct. After we crafted our strategy, we read and then we reread their work. Their ideas bore a striking resemblance to what we had already said about ourselves. Their perspective have as their genesis the vital role higher education has played in improving the human condition throughout history. While we have much for which to be thankful, in many ways the human condition never needed us more than today. Last year, the number of children who were murdered doubled the total who died from polio in 1952 at the height of that epidemic. Many children who live in poverty will arrive in their kindergarten classes not prepared to learn. Domestic violence is a fact of life for far too many of our families. In a 4-county rural area just north of Storm Lake, nearly 600 clients were served last year by a nonprofit organization that offers support to families struggling with this terrible phenomenon. Today in the United States, over 2,000 teenagers will drop out of school, 2,700 will become pregnant, 5,000 will be arrested. Although unemployment is relatively low in an aggregate sense, the Fortune 500 continues to lay off people at an alarming rate. These people have to restart their careers, and many become entrepreneurs. Like most small businesses, their enterprises need assistance on a range of issues. Other items of major concern are our aging population and seeking the appropriate balance between concern for the environment and jobs. In Iowa, many of our citizens continue to struggle with the demise of the family farm. On a local level, listen carefully, 26% of the students in the Storm Lake School District speak English as a second language. Our children's lives will be immeasurably enriched as the demographic profile of our community changes, and yet we would be foolish not to admit that that change requires adjustment. Sadly, many people believe that higher education is increasingly out of touch with problems such as these. Yet we have enormous talent on our campuses that could be brought to bear on these matters. Indeed, I venture to say that there are many problems in response to which Buena Vista University could marshal expertise that would be immensely helpful. Indeed, our pre-professional orientation is tailor-made for these times. In that spirit, we must, as Ernest Boyer says, contribute successfully to national renewal by broadening the meaning of the word scholarship to not only promote the scholarship of discovering knowledge, but also celebrate the scholarship of integrating knowledge with action, of communicating knowledge, and applying knowledge through professional service. This notion of service is called the scholarship of engagement. It is the redefinition of scholarship that is at the core of the new American college. This new formulation of what it means to be a scholar calls us to heal a hurting world. In this model, not only do faculty work on societal issues, but students do as well. Field projects and internships could be targeted at significant matters, whether it's early childhood education or small business. Not only does this serve society's needs, but the learning theory literature demonstrates that students retain more when they practice what they have read, seen, and heard in class. Another key feature would be the interdisciplinary nature of the academic program. Such programs would give students the comprehensive perspective they need to work on issues that cut across several different areas of knowledge. Continuing with that theme of being comprehensive, student development is an important element of this approach as we seek to educate the whole person. As Berberet and Wong note, the new American college model affirms professional education. It asserts the value of working at the intersection of liberal and professional education. It recognizes the need to work at the intersection of different parts of the university so that bureaucratic divisions yield to a broader sense of community. Also implicit in this model is service to the surrounding region, non-traditional students in particular, via branch campuses. Graduate programs, particularly those in the professional fields, are another feature of this paradigm. Now, these characteristics bear a stunning resemblance to our strategy. Both embrace celebration of pre-professional education and the scholarship of engagement, the intersection of the liberal arts and the pre-professional programs, interdisciplinary programs, reaching out to non-traditional students, and building a sense of community in the academy that fosters interdisciplinary synergy. Moreover, the new American college model plays to our strengths. It is also what society so desperately needs from us today. I challenge us to define and to refine what it means to be a new American college by articulating our strategic intent. In their seminal Harvard Business Review article titled Strategic Intent, Hamill and Prahalad argue that the prerequisite for being a leader is a relentless, obsessive drive to achieve unparalleled excellence. They term this obsession strategic intent. The success of NASA's Apollo program, among many examples, buttresses their hypothesis. Jack Kennedy's challenge to land a person on the moon by the end of the 1960s was an audacious declaration of strategic intent. It succeeded in mobilizing the nation quite successfully to pursue Kennedy's vision. Why is strategic intent the linchpin of competitive advantage? It enunciates an objective worthy of our commitment to perform at levels unsurpassed by anyone. It elevates strategy to the level of vision, and as Mintzberg says, the best strategies are visions. I suggest that our strategic intent should be to become the nation's leading new American college. This is a daring vision, worthy of every ounce of effort we will be privileged to expend on its behalf. With all due respect to our competitors, we are uniquely suited to attain this new level of distinction. It is manifestly in our students' interests. It positions this university as a catalyst in helping to solve some of the most vexing problems in our society. It beckons us to a quest, the reward for which will be more exhilarating than we will be able to describe. Let us become the nation's leading new American college. I look forward to our adventure. Thank you.
May the God who has surrounded us by a great cloud of witnesses bless us. May the Christ who has brought us into community keep us in his care, and may the Holy Spirit who sustains us abide with us forever. Go in peace. Amen.